everyone. Today we are going to talk about how to increase your listings, speed up your photo process, and hopefully make more revenue. So if you haven't met me before, my name is Sandra and I am Hummingbird Hall. This is going to be a great video for you if you're a brand new reseller or you're just trying to jump up in the number of photos that you're taking each day. Let me just explain this. In the photo process, this is on the front half of your listings. And when I first started, I watched a ton of videos and they always talked about, do 10 a day, do 20 a day. The problem with that is first you need to source the right types of inventory. But we're going to assume you've got great inventory and that you've prepped it and you're ready to photograph. And so today I'm just going to walk you through what I did. I really struggled to get 5 listings a day and then to get up to 10 and then beyond that. Now I list between 30 and 50 a day. I have a very streamlined flow and I'm going to show you that. I'm also going to show you some options if you're not quite ready to do some of the things I've done here. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is your prep. It is a huge time saver once you get ready to photograph. So with your prep, it's all about organizing what you're going to list each day. And the way I do it for clothing is I categorize it by how I'm going to photograph it. And for me, that's going to be the hangers. So I put everything that is going to be on one particular type of hanger together in a bundle. And then I have another hanger that's going to be the next bundle. And this does a couple of things for you. And it seems like a really simple change, but this is going to speed up your process so much. And I'll tell you why. Not only are you going to quickly get into a rhythm, everything's going to go on the same hanger, right? You're not switching back and forth between 2 hangers. Or if you do hard goods, you're not switching back and forth between big items and little items, items with cords and items without cords, right? You want to set up your organization so that everything you do is like a production line. But the other thing it does is when you're photographing, that is going to be a critical time for you to evaluate your listing. So I know this sounds crazy, but as I'm putting my photograph together, I am actually thinking about keywords that I'm going to use when I'm listing. I'm looking for flaws. I'm thinking about how I'm going to market this on different platforms. Am I going to, maybe list it differently? And I can't do that and switch my brain back and forth between like, oh, this needs to be on a bigger table. This needs to be on a hanger. This needs to be on a different hanger. Do you see what I mean? So the more you organize up front, just the faster this process goes. And that's what you want. You don't want photographs taking you 10 minutes. You want photographs to be 3 minutes or less. And if you haven't timed yourself, that's going to be the first thing you want to do once you get set up. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and put this on a hanger and we're going to move to the next part of this process. So like I said, I have everything for one type of hanger ready to go. So I've got it here. I'm going to take it over to my photo booth and I'm going to talk a little bit about my photo booth. I'm also going to tell you what you can do if you're not quite ready for this. So my photo booth is super simple. I took a shelving unit that's metal. You can buy them anywhere. And then I just took the shelves out. So it's like an open box. Then I got a foam board. That's what's behind this cloth. The foam board I got at like a box home supply store like Lowe's or Home Depot if you're in the United States. I just leaned my board back. I covered it with a nice neutral color material, and that's it. I'm not trying to remove my background. I'm not doing any of that. The color's neutral. It's going to pick up fine on like Google search, things like that. And it's going to, just be a good contrast for your photos. The other thing I did was I picked up these lights. These are magnetic lights that obviously just hook right here on my photo booth. You can get those magnetic lights online. I'm now blinding myself. Hold on a moment. And I have magnetic lights facing my clothing. I have them up on top. I have them on the bottom. And then I have them on both sides. So the light's just surrounding it. This booth is stationary and I am ready to go as soon as I come in. Now, to me, the key is if you're not quite ready for this, you're just getting started, or maybe you don't have the space. If you're working out of an apartment, I get it. I started reselling out of my bedroom closet. So I get when you don't have space. And I can tell you, I must have gone through every setup that everybody on YouTube talked about. I had all different types of boards, all different types of lights. I tried everything and it was so frustrating. And here's my big recommendation for you. Just find a place that you can dedicate to photos. You don't have to have this big setup. You could just get the board and lean it up against the wall, something like that, so that it's nice and plain. A lot of times you see people just lay their clothes on the floor or put their item on the floor. That's okay, but oftentimes you have to organize your floor, clean things off your floor. You're using your floor. So if you have to do anything that means that you have to prep your photo area before you take photos, you're not going to take your photos consistently, and it's going to take time. So what you want to do is just find one place. Either it's going to be a wall or it's going to be a little table that you set in the corner of your room. And that's where you're going to do your photos. For the lighting, while I'm doing magnetic lights, you could use something like a ring light. These are very inexpensive. You can get them online. You can get them at Walmart. For $10 or $15, you can have a ring light and just put it right on your item. And that way you've got a very simple, straightforward place to do your photos. And I'm telling you, mentally, if you know that it's all ready to go and you just have to put your item there, you'll photograph. If you have to clean up, prepare, make some space for it, you won't. You'll just put it off till later. The other thing I heard online that I think is challenging is to just use natural light if you don't have a ring light. Here's what I would say to that. If you have no equipment, you don't have a ring light, and you don't have enough money, start with natural light. But you're depending then on natural light to do your photographs, and that's going to mess up your consistency. So today, where I live, it's raining and snowing. I cannot take photographs outside. I would not be able to use natural light. So just save up your money, right? Save up that first $20 and invest in a ring light, and then grow your equipment, improve your equipment as you increase your sales. So that's the second piece of the photo process. Okay. The next piece of the photo process is when I put my item on the hanger, especially when you're talking about clothing, but this would be the same even if you were doing electronics or hard goods. What you're going to see me doing is I'm going to be spending a little bit of time here, not only getting it ready, but you'll see that I touch it a lot. Like I'm squishing it around, I'm touching it. There's two reasons for that. One is you want to have the photo. This is your one chance, right? Maybe you have such a great title that you're going to get buyers, but for the most part, you have a second or two of them seeing your item. So if it's like crumpled or you don't have the main parts of it showing, then you're going to lose the opportunity even if it's a great item. So I take some time and I just make sure that my photo is going to be right, that I have like my waistband is clean, I have everything flat, you can really see the item well. But the other thing I'm doing while I'm prepping is I'm looking for flaws, because if you just put your item up and take a picture and you don't notice that there's like a big rip, underneath or in a place, or you don't notice maybe there's holes or the seam is coming out, you're going to get a return. So the reason I'm constantly doing this is my eyes are following my hands And I'm just making sure everything on the item is in my mind, because it's okay if it has a rip. It's okay if it has a stain. But you want to make sure and include that on your listing. And this is the last time you're going to see it before you put it away in inventory. So take the time, make sure that you know all the item specifics. The next piece of it is the photos themselves. Now, I will tell you again, everything that we're talking about today is how do you simplify it. So the photos you want to take are the photos that a buyer would need to know in order to buy your item. So with clothing, I can tell you, I have seen a lot of listings where the person takes a picture of the front of the item and that's it. That's it. They don't show measurements, they don't show the back of the item, and they don't show flaws. That is going to cause you a return, or if the person can't make a decision based on the information, they'll just go to the next item. They won't purchase your item. So you'll lose sales by not giving enough detail in your photos. On the flip side, you don't need to photograph every single little thing. So on this pair of shorts, I'm going to show you the number of photos that I take. And again, this is mental for me. This is like just a mental trick. If I take the same exact photos each time, then I can get into a rhythm, right? I've got a flow going. That's another reason things that are on one hanger are easy to do the same photos compared to things that are on a different hanger. I have different types of photos that I'm going to do. So here's a quick tip. Your ruler, whatever you are using to measure, keep it close by. I have mine hanging right here. I keep everything near the station. So if I need to, like, let's say shave off some pilling, I've got my shaver right above me. If I need to just clean up the item a little bit, I have it above me. Again, you can apply this to anything that you're photographing. If you have a little table that you're photographing electronics, you can keep some wipes, on a little shelf below it. Just keep it within hand's reach. So I don't have to stop in the middle of a photograph, go somewhere else, try and find my little shaver, right? I have it right here. I fix the little area, I put it back, and I don't stop my process. However, that said, if you get an item, let's say you've done all of your prep, but you didn't notice that you have an item that has like a lot of pilling on it, or it needs a lot of cleaning. Maybe you have electronics and you missed a whole section, and when you go to photograph it, it looks dirty. I don't stop and go clean it and fix it. I move it aside. I am just going to take that, move it aside, and that can go in tomorrow's listings. I'm not going to stop my process to make a major change. Then with clothing, here are the photographs I take. I take one photograph as close up as I can, so it's still in that square frame. By the way, you'll want to make it a square frame, not that vertical frame. That's one picture. Before I flip it over to the back, I'm going to take one width picture. It's either going to be of the waist, or if you're on a shirt, it's going to be of the chest width. I'm going to take a close-up picture here, but not so close you can't tell where it is. So I want about this much of the item in this waist picture. So kind of from here to here. So that's photo 2. The third photo I'm going to take is the length of the item. So this is going to be on shorts, the full length. On jeans or pants, it's going to be the inseam. And the inseam is from the crotch to the bottom of the hem of the pant leg. For shirts, it's going to be from the shoulder to the bottom of the hem. So that's picture number 3. On pants or shorts, I'm going to also do the inseam. So that's the example there, is that it's coming from this little seam right here on the crotch right to the hem, right? So you see that 2 inches. But the next picture is I'll do a rise, and that's from the hem of the waist down to that same line on the crotch. right? So you see that 10.5 inches. Those are the only measurements I take. Now, if the item isn't obvious, I might take a picture of the pocket, but only if it's not obvious. Like on some polo shirts and some dress shirts, the pocket is so well done that you can't see it. So I will take a picture pulling the pocket out so you can see it. But I'm only going to do that if I feel like it's really necessary for the sale of the item. Then I'm going to flip my item over. See, I've got a little something on there. Clean it up. I am noticing that there's some stitching there. I'm not going to take that stitching out. I'm just going to take a mental note of that. And then I'm going to take a picture just like the front, square picture up close. And that is the second to last picture. Then I'm going to take this off the hanger. And this seems like simple steps, but it will honestly, it will change your flow. It will change your process for speed. I'm going to take my hanger. I'm going to throw it back onto my stack because that's going to be the next picture I take. And then I'm going to open it up and I'm going to take a picture of the tag. So on this one, it's a Nike tag. Now, one quick tip for you, if you're doing your photos and your listings manually, meaning that you go in and you do from beginning to end, like a brand new listing or a sell similar on eBay, then that's all you have to take. If you're going to use a virtual assistant or you use some type of AI to help you assist with your listings, then I also, if they have it, this one may not. Oh, it does. If they have it, I will go in and I will take a picture of the style tag. And I do that because your virtual assistant can use that to identify unusual styles, or AI can also pick up an unusual style that may not be obvious in your photos. All right, so that is the actual photo process. So the goal is keep your photos simple, maybe make a list, like a checklist, and put it next to your photo station when you're first starting so that you know which photos that you need to take. You want to take a front and back, you want to take measurements, width and length, and then you want to take a picture of the tag and any flaws that you see. The next step I'm going to show you is actually getting it ready to go to inventory. So one thing you'll notice as we're walking through this is that I have a really easy flow, right? I actually do my photos the way I move. So my items that I'm listing are going to be here that I'm going to photograph. Then I'm going to photograph them. Then I'm going to bag them and put them in inventory. And then they're actually going to be, I have a box right here. I'll show you this in a minute. And then they go into my inventory. Do you see how that flow works? Now, I will tell you, there are some resellers out there that are so tight with their process that they literally can stand on one foot and move and do all of their actions without ever taking a step. I'm not doing that. But if you're serious about getting your listings up and getting your sales revenue up, every step you can take to streamline this process is going to get you, miles ahead on your listings. Because if it takes you 5 or 10 minutes to take photos, you have a finite amount of time in your day, and you're not going to get very many listings. Now, if they are very high sell-through items, you may not need to do very many listings. But for most of us, we're selling day-to-day goods. And so the more you have available on your shop, the more you're going to sell. All right. And then the next step, we're going to talk about how do I bag my item? How do I get my inventory ready to go? The last piece of the photograph process is, what do you do once you've photographed? When I was a brand new reseller, I was selling makeup out of my closet. I just had a few items. So I didn't really have a process at all. And that may be you. You may be storing your items in bins, or you're just putting them on a shelf. That's okay for a couple of months. But But once you get more than maybe 20 or 25 items, you are going to want to make sure that you identify what your process is going to look like. Now, for hard goods, the way I do hard goods, and I don't have a lot of those anymore, but I organize my hard goods either by shelf or by category. So a shelf might be like all breakables, categories might be all hats or all controllers if you do electronics. When you're doing that, if you're doing buckets or you're doing shelves, number them so that when you go to put it in your listing, you can create a SKU number, so you don't have to, when the item sells, walk around and open up every bucket and try and find where you put it. And I know when you're first starting, that doesn't seem like a big deal, but you'll be surprised how quickly you need to look for items. You'll see that I use an infinite numbering system, and I use the same size boxes, and it's all set up in shelves so the boxes are lined up. And what I do is I take my item that I just photographed, and then I keep all of my bags close by. And so for this instance, I need more of these, but I'm going to take a small bag. I'm going to go ahead and put my item in the bag. And then when I talk about the numbering system, this is the type of numbering system that I use. You can order these infinite labels anywhere. I mean, I get mine on Amazon. Stick your number right on the bag. And then here's your bonus tip for doing this. Before I put my item into inventory, I mark it right here. I know it seems kind of silly, but this is going to be such a game changer for you, and it's such a simple thing to do. Every time I list an item and it's going to go into my box, I mark it down. And why do I do that? Because in the past, when I was struggling to get from 5 to 10 to 20, I would be working and thinking that I was getting a whole bunch done. But what I didn't realize is I was stopping for every text message. I was stopping to, make a change. I was stopping to maybe package something to sell. I was just interrupting myself. And so I took all this time, and then when I went to list, I only had like 10 items or 5 items that I'd photographed. But when you do something as simple as this, you mark your page with each item that you list or each item that you photograph, you can quickly just go 5, 10, 15, 20. It's very motivating, for one, that you can see how many you've already done. And if your goal is to do 40 or 50, or if your goal is even to do 20, it's so nice when you do that first crossover mark that you've done your first 5. And it will help motivate you. It'll also help you stay on track, because once you see that you have maybe a goal of 30 and you've only done 5, you're going to dial it in and stop letting yourself get interrupted. Stop going over to the computer to see who just bought something. Stop taking text messages. It just helps you have a plan to your day. And that is the simplest change I made, and it was the best benefit for me. It was shocking how much more I listed once I started tracking my listing. The last thing I'll tell you about doing your photograph, once you get set up, even if it's just a simple setup, time yourself. You're going to go through this whole process as fast as you can and see what is your baseline. And you will find all of the things that are not quite right in your flow will kind of trip you up. And those are the things you want to stop and fix. I'm going to give you an example so you understand how this works. I timed myself, and I think I was doing the photo process in maybe like 4 minutes. And what I found was I was having to switch hangers, and I had to go get the hanger and switch hangers. So I changed that. Then what I found was that I wasn't getting my items completely ready to photograph. So if you think about, like, I needed to button the sleeves on a cuff, or even just, zip everything up and make sure that my jacket was ready to photograph. It helped change my prep process, and I kept timing myself until I could get my photographs under a minute. And you can do that. You can do this whole process in less than a minute. You just have to practice and continue to refine. Once my item is done, I put it in the box ready to go into inventory. This is another process that we just talked about that you want to refine. But one of the easiest steps is don't do it twice, right? Don't stack up a whole bunch of items and then go put them in your inventory. Have your box ready to go. Have your bucket ready to go. Your items go in, you file it away in your inventory area or in your closet, wherever it is you store your items. And you will find this simple change of cleaning up your photo process will literally help you go from 5 items to 30 items in a day. It's worth taking the time to do. I hope this helped you today, and I will see you on the next one.